Welcome to Questions with a Ranch Hand, y'all. Oh, that's bad. Okay, guys, on my videos, I get a ton of questions, and I figured for this weekly upload, I would go ahead and answer some of those. You guys did not disappoint when I asked for questions. I am not going to be able to get to them all, but if you guys have more, drop them down below. If you have questions for Clara or I'll have Clara on with me in the next one, and we'll get to answer some questions for y'all. Kind of divided them up into three different categories. We got personal, ranching questions, and then random questions, which are just some fun ones. So we're just gonna mix them up. Let's kick this off strong with a question that I'm sure most of you guys want to know. How much are you paid? So I'm not gonna say exactly how much I make, but I want to give you guys a rough estimate of what you could expect for having my kind of job. I work at a cow-calf operation here in South Dakota, and I get paid an hourly salary. Most of the time, that's going to be between the $12 to $16 range, depending on experience. Sometimes it might be a little less. Sometimes it might be more. My job comes with housing, which is very nice, and I also get half a beef every year, meaning that we butcher out an animal, and I get half of the beef animal. That's usually somewhat typical. I also have a ranch vehicle, and they pay for my gas to commute the whole half a mile I drive every day back and forth. But it's still nice. It's still something that doesn't have to come out of my own paycheck. Have you always been ranching, or was it something that you got into, and when did you start? So I did not grow up ranching. I grew up in East River, South Dakota. I'm one of 6 kids. We grew up on like a little 12-acre hobby farm. We had goats and stuff, but we didn't have any beef cows well, we had a pony, a Shetland pony that I rode until I got too fat and she got too old. But I started my debut into the ranching industry at 19 when I got my first job on a dude ranch. I didn't know how to tack a horse. I didn't really know how to do anything. At Deer Valley Ranch in Buena Vista, Colorado, I found out that I absolutely loved being horseback. And not only that, I found out that I just loved being outside. I loved going to work and it being outside. I got my first job on a cattle ranch in 2021, didn't know hardly anything about cows, and that was like my first job as a ranch hand. I guess to answer the question, 21 is when I first got into ranching. How many horses do you own? I have 1 horse. I just bought him like, I don't know, 4 months ago or something. His name's Elmer. I'll throw a picture of him in here. He's a good boy. A little lazy, but he's a good boy. Very cool having my own horse. It was definitely one of those moments where I was like, wow, I've come a ways. Here's somebody asked me, brother, what is your filming setup? For you guys that don't know, I do YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. A lot of my content is filmed on GoPro because I need to have a hands-free method because I have to do my job, but it's also something that people find interesting and I want to capture that. So I want to show you guys how I record my videos this would be for vertical format, meaning for Instagram Reels or for TikTok. And it is just a head mount that goes on my cowboy hat like this. Looks a little dorky, yes I know, but hey, it helps pay the bills. So this is a GoPro Hero 11 Black, and it has a vertical mount. GoPro doesn't make the vertical mount, so you have to buy it off Amazon, but if I am just filming a YouTube video or something, I just take off that vertical mount piece and it mounts up like that for horizontal videos. So good question, I get that one quite a bit. Here's a great question. What do your bosses think about you being a content creator / recording while working? Is it something you had to talk about up front? Keep up the great work, man. Appreciate the question here. It is something that we talked about right up front. I mean, before I was hired, I said, look, I make these videos. I know it's unorthodox, but it helps me pay the bills, and I won't let it interfere with my work. And, you know, is that something that's manageable because it's something that I do? I kind of just laid it out up front. I wanted to make sure that they knew that would be the case. That being said, it has had its difficulties. Like, I just don't feel comfortable all the time pulling it out. I know that sometimes it's not welcome. Sometimes there are aspects of ranching that people don't want being put out on the internet, and I know that, and I respect that. So I don't film everything. I film what I can when I can. They're open to it to an extent, but I can tell that sometimes it's just not the time to do it, and that is okay, and I respect that. I never really let the content creation interfere with my work, and I never let it take up more time. That's why I love the GoPro, just having hands-free. Sometimes the content that I do get on my phone, it literally take 2 seconds to set my phone up in the corner and tack up a horse or something, so it really hasn't been a problem thus far. How did you and the wifey meet? So I am engaged my beautiful fiance Clara May. She will be on one of these videos coming up here. But we actually met through TikTok, and funny enough, we met through Clara's mom. Clara's mom commented on a couple of my videos and said, "I got a daughter you need to meet." And I was like, okay, whatever. And then she DM'd me Clara's profile, and I was like, hold on, hold on. And then I messaged Clara, and we started talking, and I was living in Colorado, she was living in Wisconsin, and yeah, we got hitched up, and now we're engaged, getting ready to get married in September. Pretty exciting. What is some advice you'd give to someone wanting to get into this industry? What a loaded question. So I plan on making another one of these sit-down videos where I can just talk and be like, this is how you can do it. This is how I did it. These are some resources, this is some advice that I have to help you along the way. So I'm really gonna dive in deep on this question in another video, but let's give it a shot here. First thing I would say is make sure it's something that you want to do. You know, it looks great and fantastic and magical and beautiful on Instagram and YouTube and through my content and other people's content, but really what you're looking at as somebody coming into it with not being born into it or something is these are some sacrifices you're gonna have to make. Bad pay, okay, like pay for your car and your groceries and maybe a little on the side. Bad pay. You're probably gonna have to move, either state, county, town, whatever. You are probably gonna have to move. Kind of a big one, honestly. Most people might take it for granted. You will not be seeing friends or family a lot. That is a huge downside and something that I really wish was different for my life. You know, there's friends that I have not seen in 3 or 4 years, people that really mean a lot to me. And it just really sucks that the relationship deteriorates no matter how much you try to call and keep in touch and stay in the group chats and everything. It's just not the same. You know, you don't make it home for the stuff you used to be able to. And same with family. You don't get to go to graduations or birthdays or holidays with everybody. And that's just something that is really hard, especially because, you know, your work is important, but your family and friends are really important too. So it's kind of a weigh the odds kind of thing. All that to say, make sure this is something that you actually want to do, you know? It's not worth going through all the startup and hassle to get into it if you're not willing to make those sacrifices up front. Like I said, we'll get into more details on that question in a later video, so y'all stick around, make sure to subscribe, and it'll be coming out soon. Here's a fun one. Is it Coke, pop, or soda? If you're talking about those carbonated beverages, I'm gonna go with pop. I think that's kind of a South Dakota thing, maybe a Midwest thing. I know Coke, people say, I'll take Coke. What kind? I'll take Mountain Dew. I think that's a Southern thing. I feel like soda is kind of like everybody says soda, but pop, Midwest proud. Yeah, I'll take a pop, please. I've been made fun of that before. I never thought before leaving the Midwest that I would get made fun of for saying pop. Do you get days off? Vacation days? Ranching, depending on what kind of ranching. Me at a cow-calf, this is kind of what it looks like. It's a very seasonal job. There are very busy seasons, and there are seasons with a little more leeway. Right now, we're at the beginning of calving season. I'm working 10-hour days, 7 days a week, plus checking the cameras here and there at night. It's a busy, no time off kind of deal. Flexibility just kind of depends on the job, but it kind of just rolls with the season in a way. But I do not have any set vacation days or anything. What is your favorite pair of boots to work with and to go out to places? Let me show you something. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Hyer Boots, okay? These are my work boots, and these are my going to town boots. I absolutely love Hyer Boots. They are the most comfortable boot that I've ever owned. They hold up great, great work boots. Absolutely love them. For those of you wondering, these are the Hazes. Like I said, these are my work boots, and these here are the Maizes. So yeah, really love Hyer Boots. Y'all go check them out, and if you're interested in getting a pair, use code BEN15 at checkout. I'll leave the info down below in the description. On the topic of boots, somebody asked me, do you wear your spur buckles on the inside, outside, and why? So this is my left boot, which means that I'm going to have the buckle on the left side. Reason being is the horse is right here, and you just don't want that buckle rubbing up or catching hair or anything when you're riding your horse. So buckles always go on the outside, at least in my opinion. Kind of depends on who you ask. Most people don't care. Some people actually wear the buckle on the inside because they're easier to take off, that sort of thing. So basically, it doesn't really matter, but if you ask most people, they'll tell you that the buckle goes on the outside. How old are you? I'm 25. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that, but yeah, I'm 25. My birthday's in February. And yeah, one more year on my parents' insurance. That's it. That sucks. But I can rent a car now, so there's that. How tall are you? This is actually kind of funny. I get a lot of people that meet me in person. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I thought you'd be taller," and I'm always just like, "Cool." I'm 5'8", so yeah, I'm not a giant. I'm not tall. A little on the shorter side, some might say, but works for me. So 5'8". What did you do before being a ranch hand? So, kind of technically, as a student, I went to South Dakota State University for a year. I also went to another different college, Trinity Bible College in Ellendale, North Dakota, for a year. Did like a travel program there. It was really cool. It was kind of a gap year out of high school. But other jobs that I've had, I worked on a farm for a little bit, just like, you know, doing menial farm work. It was a great job. Learned a lot of like kind of good nitty-gritty basic skills. Nothing with like cows or horses or anything, but you know, it was still good. And then I have also been a waiter at a country club, which was actually a very fun job. And I've also worked at Menards. I worked in the lumber yard at Menards for like 3 months and actually really enjoyed it. Loved driving a forklift. It was a good time. Whose practice methods do you use to train your colt? So my horse Elmer, he's not a colt. He's 6 years old, fully trained. He just gets a little hoppy sometimes. But yeah, I've never started a colt. I've never trained a colt. I really am working on my horsemanship as I go. Like I'm not a horse whisperer yet. Okay, we're working on it. But yeah, I've never started a colt. I've never really. I'm building up that area of my expertise for sure. Just subscribed to a company called 3 Rein Media, so I'm excited to start watching some videos and learning some more on that topic. Hat rules, ? Somebody commented. Most of you guys probably know that this is a cowboy hat. Some of you guys might not know that there is a code of etiquette and rules that come with a cowboy hat. Some of which being, don't put your cowboy hat on the bed. Don't put your cowboy hat on the table. Don't lay your cowboy hat on the crown or on the brim. Now I abide by some hat rules, but I don't care about others, okay? I'd say the thing that I try to do the most is when I'm meeting a woman, I'll shake her hand and tip my hat. That is something that I see all the time. I think it's a good courtesy move. It's a good, you know, respect thing. Nice to meet you. You know, it doesn't have to be a howdy, ma'am. Usually I just do like a little tip, you know, like a hats off to you, my dear. Another thing is hat comes off in a house. Now this is a bigger deal for me in somebody else's house. If I walk into somebody else's house, I'll take my hat off. Sometimes I wear a cowboy hat in my own house. I'm doing it right now. Sometimes I wear my cowboy hat at the dinner table. And you know, I'm just grabbing a bite of lunch or something. It's not a code of rules for me. It's more like guidelines. If you get that quote. Cheers to you. But yeah, I also don't care if I set my hat on the bed. And as far as setting your hat down on the brim, the only reason that's a rule is because when you set it on the crown, it helps the cowboy hat keep its shape. If you set your hat on its brim like this, how my hat is dipped down in the front, that is not going to retain very long. If I keep setting it down like this, it's going to flatten my hat out. So I'll set my hat down and hang the brim off one direction or the other so that it's not flattening the hat out, but I will kind of set my hat anywhere if I need to. There you go. What's your advice for someone just starting out in ag/ranching YouTube? Your videos help me to get a start on my own. Appreciate it. Thank you for the comment and the question. It's very encouraging to hear that you've started your own. Best of luck to you. If I had any advice to you to give, which isn't a lot because my channel still is pretty fresh, would be to work on your editing, okay? You don't necessarily need the fanciest transitions or sound effects, but what you need to do is highlight on the focus things, okay? Just because you chop wood for 2 hours doesn't mean you need to condense that to 20 minutes and put 20 minutes in your clip. A lot of the content that you get is gonna have to be edited way down just to retain people's attention, and it's frustrating, but it's just a fact of it. People don't want to see you doing the same thing for more than 10 seconds most of the time. YouTube has been nice because people do kind of stick around through those lag periods, but like Instagram, TikTok, good luck. You know, people will not watch the whole thing. And then my only other piece of advice is just be authentically yourself, and you'll find the right crowd, and people will find you. At least that's what I'm banking on, because this is me. You're getting what you're getting, and if you're hanging around here, this is all you're getting. What does your music collection look like? My taste in music has had quite the evolution, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go ahead and put a link to my Spotify playlist down below. It's called Out in the Open. Not gonna lie, guys, 95% of what I listen to is country music, and probably, you know, 85% of that is old country music. The other like 15% is like new country artists, but new real country artists. None of that like, you know, whatever Jordan Davis crap. Anyways, yeah, y'all go check out my playlist, link down below, and let me know what you think. Do you shoe your own horses? No, I do not. I have put on one horseshoe in my life, and it was quite crappily tacked on at that. I've trimmed a few hooves before and pulled shoes, but I will leave the shoeing to a professional. Number one, it saves my back. Number two, it saves my horse's feet, okay? It's one of those things that instead of me struggling for 4 hours to do it and do a crappy job, I can, you know, I would pay somebody $200 to do a good job, like a very good job. Horseshoeing is an art, okay? A lot of people don't realize that. It's not just you trim a hoof, you throw a shoe on, and away you go. Real horseshoers look at a horse's hoof and can see what is going on, how that shoe needs to be shaped, a little more on this side than on this side, little tweak here where they're having some odd pressure, that sort of thing. And that is worth its money. It's also something that you do not learn how to do overnight. Do you work out, or is there no time for it? It's kind of one of those things, you can make time for whatever you really want. I do not really work out. I try to do some push-ups here and there, but that's kind of the extent of it. I will say my job is quite physically demanding. Like, I'm always walking around, riding around, doing something active, so I stay kind of lean, but I'm not necessarily, you know, shredded or anything. But it is kind of like one of those things you can make time for, you know. If you want to wake up earlier, go do it. Usually I'm waking up early to edit videos and stuff. If I wasn't doing this, maybe I'd be sleeping in, but maybe I'd also be doing some crunches and push-ups every morning. So not saying you're going to be able to take 2 hours every morning and drive to town and go to the gym, come back, shower and everything. That's probably not going to happen. But yeah, you know, you make time for what you want in life, and you know, that's not something that is as big of a priority since I kind of get my activeness at work, but it's definitely something that I could do if I wanted to. There's a good question here. If you weren't ranching, what job would you have? I actually have no idea. I cannot think of anything. I was first going to go to college for civil engineering, and then I switched colleges and went for ag business, hoping to just maybe get a job where I could get to be outside sometimes, like an agronomist or something. Here's something, actually. I've always been interested in sales. Like, there's part of me that has always wanted to be a car salesman, you know? And I think that's because it's like, it's not the same thing every day. It is and it isn't in a way, but like you're getting out of the job what you put into the job. It's kind of, I think, why I enjoyed being a waiter so much, is because you got a good tip because you were a good waiter. If you were a bad waiter, you probably got a bad tip. You know, you get out of the job what you put into it, and I like seeing that manifest. So I always have wanted to be a car salesman because, you know, I wanted to rack up those numbers. I wanted to see what I was capable of. So that's, I doubt that that's what I would be doing, but, you know, it also wouldn't surprise me. That's the closest answer you're going to get to that question, because I have no idea what I would be doing if it wasn't this. I just found your blog. I see you rushed into marriage. While a rancher and ranch hand is one of the most admired and tougher jobs in the world, what does she do for a living? That's like kind of such a dig of a comment, of a question, I guess, in a way. You know, I see you rushed into marriage. Number one, okay, we met 2 years ago. We dated for a whole year and then we got engaged. Okay, that's not crazy, especially because we're literally soulmates. So, brother. Anyways, to answer your question, not that it's any of your business, right, brother? You gotta be a little more respectful. Anyways, Claire is a vet assistant, so that's what she's doing right now until one day through YouTube we're gonna get our own ranch and work it together, and I am so excited for that day. Speaking about that future ranch, somebody asked, where would you like to set up roots and start your Kretschmann ranch? Beef or crops? Number one, beef. Okay, I really don't have any interest in raising crops. Spending time in the tractor is something that I kind of have to do, not want to do, if you know what I mean. But where would you like to set up roots? I think Colorado speaks to both of us. We both love Colorado. We both really miss Colorado, and I think we would love to end up back there one day. Montana is also absolutely beautiful, but both of those states, unfortunately, are just getting so expensive to live in. I mean, if any of you guys want to drop, $40 million in my bank account, my Venmo's down below. But yeah, that would be the dream. Is probably Colorado or Montana or Western Wyoming. Somewhere out west, I can tell you that much. Would you rather fight 10 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck? Wow, that's kind of an easy question. I would rather fight 10 duck-sized horses than 1 horse-sized duck. A horse-sized duck? That's basically a dinosaur. Do you realize that? That's terrifying. Definitely 10 duck-sized horses, because, honestly, a horse doesn't really have any weapons. A horse's weapon is its size, in a way. So, I could definitely mess up 10 duck-sized horses, Easy question. Would you recommend any good skills to know before getting into ranching? Great question, okay? I will say I think any hard skill you can learn is going to help you out. I'm talking anything from how to use a chainsaw to how to ratchet something down, if you're hauling it, how to hook up to a trailer, learning how to weld would be awesome. Anything mechanical is always useful. Basically, any hard skills, any blue collar skills, anything like that is not gonna hurt you, let me put it that way. Not saying gender studies is useless, but it will get you nowhere on a ranch. Okay, so learn some hard skills, go look up some YouTube videos, learn how to do some stuff. Any tool you can put in your toolbox when you're applying for a place is only gonna help you. What do you most like about recording while working? Honestly, not much. I really don't like recording while working. It's kind of just a hassle. It's in the way, and I feel awkward wearing it, and people look at me weird. But I would say if there is anything cool about recording while working, it's that I do capture some cool stuff sometimes, which is always fun to go back and replay it, or I'm like, oh, nice, I think I caught that. I'll have to go back and rewatch it, and it's cool. And already, it's kind of cool to go back through my old YouTube videos and be like, man, that was cool, And I think that'll be really cool to look back on in the future and be like, wherever I go in life, whatever new job I move on to, wherever I start, I'll have this little paper trail of all these days in my life. I think that's something that'll be really cool to look back on. Alright guys, we got our last 3 questions here. This one's kind of a hybrid question. When will your hats be back in stock? Most of you guys might not know, but I have a hat company. Here's a few of the samples. It's called K-Hoss Hat Company. I'm actually in the process of creating apparel. This has been a really fun project for the last couple years. Kind of got a pretty cool backstory. I'll have to make another video on that. What is the original meaning of K-Hoss? You're definitely going to have to explain that one to us, brother. K is for Kretschmann, which is my last name, and Hoss, at the time when I made this hat company, I had a border collie named Hoss. It was just him and I living, working, eating, sleeping, everything alone and together on a ranch in Colorado. In a way, I was very lonely, and it was a very good and loyal companion at a time when I really needed somebody there for me. So when I had this idea to start the hat company, I was like, okay, what's a good name for, the company? And I was like, okay, when you start a partnership, it's like B&E Welding or whatever, So I was like, okay, well, K and then Hoss. So I was like, K-Hoss. Drew it up and, kind of never looked back. Hoss ended up dying. He got hit by a car when we were out on a walk. Tragically, he was a really, really good dog. I absolutely love the idea that I'll be remembering and, just kind of taking him along with me throughout my life. Might sound kind of cringy to you guys, but honestly, I don't care. Some of the purest love that I've ever felt is from my dogs. Some people might laugh at that, and that is okay, but I will tell you that my dogs mean more to me than 90% of people that I meet. 98% of people that I meet. Go ahead and laugh. I love my dogs. I love my hoss. He was a good boy. I just got a restock of hats. I want to go live with some apparel when I go live with the hats. So, fingers crossed. Looking at March. I just got hired as a ranch hand, first time. What's some important things or some advice with getting started with doing that sort of work? So first off, congrats on getting the job. Absolutely love that. Second off, I've worked on a couple different ranches now for a couple different people, and here are some things that have translated over wherever I go. Number one is work hard. People might be able to say a lot about you. People might be able to say you're dumb as a rock. But if you work hard, that is one thing that they cannot take away from you. That you work hard, that you stay busy, that you're always doing something, that you are trying. Number two, be teachable. If somebody tries teaching you something, even if it's something you've done before, wait, stop, shut up, listen, open your ears, hear what they have to say. Maybe you've already swept the floor before, but if they're showing you how to sweep the floor, watch how they show you to sweep the floor. Maybe ask a question and be like, oh, I've done it this way before. Does it matter? You know? But just don't just be like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. Yeah, yep, I can do that. You know, like, and sweeping the floor is kind of a mundane example because nobody's going to really critique how you sweep a floor. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. Be teachable, be willing to listen and learn. And I would also just say, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, okay? You're probably going to make mistakes. I still make mistakes. I still make bad mistakes, guys. I am no professional by any means. I'm still learning, like a lot of this. Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if it makes you look stupid. I guarantee your boss will probably appreciate you more if you're asking questions and he knows that you are caring about doing something correctly or understanding something right. Last question, guys. Somebody asked, how do you have time for everything? I do social media. I post on Instagram, TikTok, and now YouTube and Facebook, so all the links are down below. You guys can find them in the description if you want. On top of that, I have my hat business, and then I also work full-time on a ranch. How do I have time for everything? Here's the answer. I don't. This is kind of segueing into me saying that I am slowing down. I'm going to focus more on YouTube, and I'm going to focus more on building chaos for a little bit. And that is because instead of doing 5 things where everything that I do is kind of I want to turn a couple of those down and increase my time and energy on a couple key things. I really think YouTube is a great resource. I get nothing but positive comments on here. I love all my subscribers. You guys are the best. I love reading my YouTube comments. I really do love chaos. I think it's fun coming up with creative styles, combining different colors on different pieces. You know, I'm coming out with an apparel line, like I said before, some quarter zips, some vests, some sweatshirts. I'm just really excited about it. And you know what? I want to just spend more time on this. I want to spend more time with my fiance. I want to enjoy what I'm doing, and that's one thing that has kind of been getting robbed away from me, guys, is through recording and feeling like I always have to be pumping out content. I've lost sight of actually enjoying what I'm doing a little bit, and I'm wanting to nip that in the bud before it becomes part of me and I just get obsessed with it, and I just get obsessed with just pushing on. Everybody always comments how I'm really rich in what I'm doing. Well, sometimes I don't feel it, and sometimes that's because of social media. It's really kind of a hard decision for me to make because, you know, it means that I'm turning down money by doing that. It means that I'm turning down growing it by doing this. And it's a hard decision for me to make because I want to be creating streams of income any way that I can to fuel this future dream of, you know, one day having my ranch. But I'm just going to trust myself through this process. I think I'm going to get there one day, and I want to enjoy the ride. I don't want to look back, you know, like I have over the last 2 years, and I'm just like, gosh, it's gone. You know, I want to slow down and enjoy this season of life that I'm in. So that's what I'm doing. And yeah, I know that's kind of a long video with a lot of questions of a lot of different varieties, but thank you guys for tuning in and watching this. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Comment down below if you guys have more questions. Like I said, we'll get Clara on in the next video if you guys have some questions for both of us. If you want to hear what she has to say on some stuff, we'd love to do that. Sounds like a lot of fun. Really appreciate y'all. Hope you guys will stick around. Appreciate you guys. Have a good night.